Well, welcome back my gardening friends. It's very windy, the sun's out, in and out, and the camera has been blowing about a little bit. Just wanted, before we moved on, an update on these wire straps that stops the beds from bowing out. I've been fastening the bottom one in using the staples first, just by pulling it, because they do move quite easily, and then the top one I've just been using the ratchet strap on the top to pull them in, and then doing this, and when it's let go, this now is a lot tauter than the first one we showed you in previous videos. And another comment from Rich T, because we've got clearance here, we've got everything sitting on blocks, no wood is actually touching the soil, but then I was talking about having the wood chips on the boards, but not too close, so I didn't want the moisture to transfer into these boards, and he suggested using a sacrificial piece of timber and fastening it to there, so the wood chips will touch that and not the scaffold boards. So I've just added a little bit more of a spin on that. I've got plenty of plastic washers and metal washers, so if I put those between the sacrificial board and the scaffold planks, that will give it the air circulation it needs for everything to dry out. So thank you very much to Rich T. I'll put his channel full name down below. So cardboard is in. We've dug out the paths around them to get the depth we want for the wood chips. Covered it with cardboard because I don't really need it, because I don't suffer with perennial weeds or any weeds really as such, but it's another material to add. So we've got soil, we've got cardboard, so we'll move on to the next one. Come on, Robo Crop, it's a bit blowy for you. So the next layer is going to be the manure. Now it doesn't matter whether it's roots or anything, the manure is going to be right at the bottom, so it's going to hurt nothing, and the worms will thank you for that. So let's get the manure in. I don't normally use this type of manure, it's horse manure, and it's basically got the hay in. I normally just pick the nuggets for my manure runoff bin. But this is going to be buried way down, and it can take as long as it like to break down, and there's some lovely red wrigglers in there already. We're going to top this off with a little bit of soil. I'll show you this once, but it isn't a lot because we've got loads and loads of layers to do. This soil on my allotment is really good, but there's not many red wrigglers in just the soil on its own, mainly because the red wrigglers need lots of compost. So I'll finish this off. Just going to move you further forward because the light isn't very good. That's better. So next is the roots. Now these, when I mean roots and sticks, these are the roots from the cannabis root balls that I find, and basically I've just been throwing them about. All this will rot down eventually. I haven't got much of it, but I'm trying to spread them into all the beds, even part of the roots. It'll all rot down, worms will love it. And we mustn't forget some sticks. Now these are from out of the leaf mould, so basically I've only got a few, but this just gives you an idea of what you could use, and I've been scattering those about as well, but you may have more and utilise anything that you can get. And again, followed by soil. Soil's in, so let's try some log shavings with some added compost from 3 of the compost fines that I get. Bits of paper and all will be going in. And this is the fun bit. got some perlite in it. Added bonus. More roots. With added soil. And then I'm adding, this is the compost we find on the side of the road, but unfortunately it got some clay balls in and some granite chips. I don't normally like to use this on top of the beds, so it can go here. So there's 3 buckets of this to go. We'll just scatter that around. These clay balls will help with the drainage and retaining the moisture. We'll get that done. Followed by, and I'm now adding the reject leaf mould from the trommel. So it's got bits of twigs in, bits of compacted leaves. I'm trying to have enough to fill all 8 beds, so some beds will get more than others. The idea is just keep putting soil in. If you was just to put organic materials in and just compost, then you're liable, the soil's liable to go out, so you just need moisture retaining ingredients, and I don't really want to use my leaf mould in its best form, but I'm lucky enough to have the soil to add between the layers, and it's turned out really well. So layer of soil, and we're on to the leaves now. Now these leaves are oak leaves, notoriously difficult to break down, so yeah, they can take as long as they like in this bed. That's roughly 1 builder's bucket. I'm putting a full 2 1-ton bags in all 8 beds, so hopefully I've got it about right. Now I know these beds are going to sink eventually. Let's keep chucking a bit of soil on, and it's surprising how quickly they settle on its own. Well guys, the old wind's blowing well, but it's drying everything out. Now this is, the leaves have had a good layer of trouble on. Now this is the 3-year-old leaf mould. Lots of worms in it, other creatures, so hopefully they will get busy for me. I'm trying to use this rake as much as I can. It's breaking a little bit, and I'm very close to my target on my PayPal to being able to purchase another one. Only a few pounds away. We'll get that finished, and we'll add more soil and the next ingredient, if I can get my gloves off. Well, we're on to the spent hops now, and I've just looked at my list, which you'll see shortly, and I put the 3-year-old wood chips down before the hops, so these may be a little bit closer to the surface than I like, but bar gum, they do smell good, and we'll get these spread out. And now, if this was one of the bean beds, I'll be going over to the compost bin, removing that top layer, or 1/2 of the top layer, which I'll show you in a bit, and add to it at this level, and then top off with soil. The beans will absolutely love that. So that's not the trench method, but that'll only ever be done once, because the bean bed then will stay as a permanent bed, and all I'll be doing is adding a few ingredients, like my liquid plant foods, etc. So I'll get these spread out. Now I thought these hops would be quite easy to get hold of, but I did find that other allotmenteers do get them, and we'll just let that plane disappear. Forget where I left off, but yeah, other allotmenteers do like them, and yeah, I managed to get myself 8 bags, so I'm using 1 bag per plot. And realistically, you can use any ingredients that you can get hold of, organic. So this is going to be topped up with soil now, and that should clear the way for the next bed. At least I just picking taking any stones out, which I find the rain will find most of them. But I wanted to use this rake just to see if it fitted the bed okay, so I know what to order. This is what I use for my leaf mould and levelling the beds out. They won't take so much levelling out now. You near enough do it by hand. So this is just a demonstration. The final layer. Soil is great. It does dry out. Cocoa coir, when it dries out, it acts like a barrier for to stop the water, retains the moisture, and also I found slugs hate crawling across this. That's what we'll end up with once the beds have settled fully. And RoboCrop's given me the thumbs up. Thank you, RoboCrop. So this is the list that I was supposed to be following. I've put the microphone down under me jumper now, so instead of the wind you can hear me heavy breathing. Soil and cardboard, then we stuck the manure on. Soil, roots and sticks, soil. Chainsaw log shavings from my logs. 3 of those bags of compost containers, some more soil, the compost loose, leaf mould reject from the trommel, the autumn leaves, some hops, and we should have had the 3-year-old wood chips on top. And then we mentioned about the compost bin. We'll take a good wad out that and place towards the top. So let's have a little look at the materials as we go round. So I should have enough manure. Like I say, it's got the hay in, we're not too fussed, reasonably good stuff. We've got sticks, basically anything you've got that you want to put in the bottom of your beds to rot down slowly. And one of my viewers did speak to me about all the sifting I did in the polytunnel, all the rooty bits to use in the footpaths. Well, I'm going to use them in the beds, so nothing gets wasted. So that's the roots. These are my log shavings. They'll break down nice and slowly. We use 3 of these containers in each one, but you can use whatever spent compost you've got just to lighten the soil, give good drainage. So this is what was under this bit of tarpaulin, and like we said, there was quite a few clay balls and granite chippings in there, so I didn't want to use that on top of the beds, so that hasn't gone to waste. I haven't had to sieve it. We had a lovely pile of the leaf mould rejects, and the worms are in that, so they're loving it anyway. And the autumn leaves, it just happens that the oak ones I actually bought round here. And then we went on to the spent hops, and other people have used this. Jane Kelly used it to mulch, but you've got to be careful with mulching because it is quite strong, she told me. So we always learn from other people's experiments. So they're the hops, and I'll probably gather myself about 8 bags each year just to add to my compost bin and to add to the beds as and when required. And the 3-year-old wood chips, that's what we bagged up when we cleared all this area. And these are the existing footpaths here, so you can see when we put the compost bins in. But cracking stuff, plants will grow in it. Again, it's another resource. Put your footpaths down, keep topping up, and after 3 years scrape the top off, go right to the bottom and gather those that wonderful material. And of course, some people aren't as lucky as I am. This site's been going for 80 years possibly, and this soil's been worked for this long, so I'm really happy with that. Dare I get down and see whether they're all level, but they're not far away. They're not far away. They're pleasing to the eye. I was talking to Michael Brotherton at length on one of his videos about the widths of the beds and being able to turn the wheelbarrow. That gap there is 700 millimeters. That one's 500. This gap here will be 700, but will there be enough room to turn the barrow? So I'm going to do something a little bit different, where the square foot gardening meets the next 4 rows, to help navigate from the main path round this corner and down to there. But there will be access up at the top end, and I think I'm going to do those 900 wide. So the last bed should be where those 2 stones are. Then I'm going to go 900. That should leave me enough room between me and the polytunnel. But remember, we're going to be raising the polytunnel and possibly bringing it down a few millimeters. But I'm thinking about when these new pallet collars are in along here, to have 900 here, and there will be access up alongside the polytunnel. So this is where the polytunnel path is at the moment. I'll take you around really slowly, so I should be able to at least travel down there. And realistically, there's no reason to take a wheelbarrow down because they're full. I've only got to use a bucket or one of these dumpy buckets, builder's buckets, to carry any materials to top the beds off, unless I get a Swede that I can't lift. Here's wishing. So this is the compost runoff bin, and it's settled down really well again. Oh look, some greens. I wonder what they taste like. No, I won't. But I'll be taking some of this out. So it's the stuff that hasn't rotted right down, and then the stuff right at the bottom will go into my compost mixes. So at some point this will disappear when I fill that bed, whether it's later today or on an evening before it gets dark. I do love the snowdrops, especially these. Slugs are having a go at them though, so perhaps bring the compost further out. That might stop them. And these are a selection of my homemade liquid plant foods. And of course, rainwater is one of the most important ones. Not as if I don't make it, but I do collect it. So this scaffold board beds, single height at first, I thought, all those years ago when I watched my other creators with their scaffold plank raised beds. It's took me a long time, guys, but I'm going to be nearly there. So if you can imagine 4 there, 4 here, and then a small row of coal frames and square foot gardening, and hopefully all this will be gone. Next video will be the February jobs for February and tour, and we'll see what we can achieve in the month of February. The weather is kind today, but tonight it's supposed to rain again, and all Sunday morning. Today is February the 1st. Happy gardening to you all. Till next time, my friends. Ta-ra for now.